Joseph Murphy taught for decades that material wealth is not a matter of luck, but the outcome of the vibration that someone builds in their mind. When Murphy investigated families that went through prolonged monetary difficulties, he observed a surprising and alarming pattern. These families transported, without realizing it, a vibrational field of insufficiency that resurfaced from generation to generation, like a defective recording playing incessantly the same music of scarcity. Murphy referred to this pattern as energetic inheritance. He stated that each family group possesses a specific vibration linked to finances, a vibration that transmits itself through actions, veiled beliefs and reactions of the heart regarding monetary limitations. This received pattern acts like a hidden code, establishing not just what value an individual can gather, but also their essential bond with abundance. Murphy assimilated that various money-related hindrances that he perceived did not stem from deficiency or bad fortune, but merely in the received pattern that any individual absorbed from the beginning of life. This understanding radically transformed the manner that Murphy approached economic evolution. Preferring not to transmit solely ways to conquer wealth or financial application methods, Murphy directed himself towards something fundamental, modifying the vibrational energy concerning money that any person carried from their family. Murphy described surprising experiences of clients who were able to transcend this ancestral pattern using specific methods of subconscious reprogramming. One of these experiences focused on an entrepreneur identified as Roberto, whose ancestors went through a persistent cycle of economic collapse that prolonged itself for generations. His male ancestor had experienced the loss of all his wealth in a catastrophic speculation. His father had endured failed businesses, and Roberto, even if dedicating himself to work obsessively, saw himself recreating the same destructive pattern. Every time he managed to accumulate a significant sum of capital, an occurrence was triggered inexplicably, and the subject saw disappear everything. It gave the impression that there existed an unknown force obstructing his conscious endeavors. Murphy dedicated himself to training Roberto for several months, instructing him in a fundamental principle that would constitute the base in all his work. The hidden mind does not discriminate between capital that belongs to you and wealth your ancestors believe to be worthy. If in your inner self exists the pattern that wealth is threatening, that prospering is risky, that monetary stability is deceptive or misleading. Therefore, your subconscious will strive constantly to conserve you in this pattern once it seems to be the absolute truth. The subconscious psyche does not question. It only executes the instructions that were implanted in your psyche through experiential heritage. Roberto ultimately understood that he was not indolent or incompetent. He was structured, and mental patterns can be reprogrammed. Murphy revealed that when you modify the preponderant frequency in your being, you transform the command that you communicate to your deep being. It functions like reformatting a machine that was working with outdated software which is defective. If the code stays established to receive uniquely a particular amount of wealth, then it will constitute exactly what you will conquer, regardless of how much you strive. Murphy showed this truth using intensive visualization practices that he had created in the course of decades. He instructed his students to devote about 5 to 10 minutes every morning, preferably immediately upon waking when the mind continues in a permeable alpha state, conjuring the image of not just the arrival of resources in their living, but essentially the deep feeling of confidence, true faith and dignity that follows this arrival. Murphy emphasized decidedly that this perception formed the authentic key. It was not the money by itself that was essential for the metamorphosis. It was the frequency that the person established concerning resources. With Roberto, Murphy started a process that he named Ancestral Vibrational Transmutation, a method that he had perfected through numerous cases of success. Roberto would need to, for 60 days, commit 15 minutes each night at bedtime in deep meditation. In this sacred space, Roberto should become aware of consciously the complete financial history of his family. He should mentally evoke his direct forebear experiencing the financial catastrophe, his progenitor struggling with failed businesses, and all this ancestral lineage who came in his lineage taking like patterns. Then, psychically, Roberto should utter with genuine feeling, "I identify your path. I acknowledge with devotion the challenges you faced. I recognize the importance of the trajectory you tread and the difficulties you faced. Nevertheless now, in this precious instant, I release this vibration of restriction from my being. I institute a new vibration for my family. From now on, in my living circulation of resources, prosperity and financial certainty are the dominant patterns that guides my choices and my world. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new, illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy formulated a concept that he called Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a truth that he had confirmed in hundreds of cases. This truth states simply that the external circumstances always reflects exactly to the dominant inner world. If in your interior you resonate with genuine dread of poverty, then the external world will reveal incessantly experiences that amplify this fear and confirm your limiting conviction. If in your psyche prevails deep certainty in your innate fullness, then the surrounding environment will bring opportunities that expand and amplify this tranquility. The most revolutionary aspect of this law is that it acts without depending on your present condition or your past circumstances. Someone who carries heavy debts, who transforms their vibrational pattern to prosperity, will commence, in a matter of weeks, to perceive small changes that are perceptible. These modifications tend to be subtle at the start, but are signalers of a deep transformation. An unforeseen cost is avoided because you opt to avoid making a purchase on impulse. An opportunity arises because you remained in better psychological climate to dialogue with someone relevant. Your total organism commences to oscillate in a distinct vibrational pattern. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To generate this alteration of frequency that was stable and genuine, Murphy developed a system composed of 3 stages that he believed extremely vital for the victory. The first stage is what Murphy identified as conscious ancestral recognition, and he reiterated that it was impossible to proceed without realizing authentically this first step. In this phase, you must commit time genuinely identifying the total economic journey of your family. This does not constitute accusing your forebears or despising them with negative frequency. It implies just seeing with crystal clarity what they lived, the deep wounds that they endured, the structures that they formed as a system of resistance in moments of crisis. Murphy observed that many people tried to ignore this uncomfortable narrative, strive to pretend there was nothing, and this prevented irremediably the true transformation. It stays totally impossible to free oneself from what you avoid consciously to recognize. Murphy guided his apprentices to initiate this simple method, which is revolutionary. In the night hours, by preference when preparing to sleep when the mind is more sensitive, position yourself in total silence. Perform breaths consciously repeatedly. And psychically think deeply on your ancestors. Imagine the images of your predecessors. Admit the obstacles that they experienced. Say internally with sincerity words like, "I admit that you, my grandfather, faced immeasurable losses that created deep dread in your being. I welcome that you, the one who begot me, instituted survival patterns that were shared ahead through generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet, and becomes something you see with absolute clarity, and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy explained that this declaration performs for it forms a new power in your essence. You do not find yourself repudiating your family legacy or your history. You stay just exercising your inalienable right as a knowing entity who is self-determined to choose a new resonance. Murphy had observed countless cases proven where this affirmation, when done with authentic emotive sincerity, generated an energetic rupture so potent and radical that visible changes started in days following. He had documented examples where people shared vibrant dreams and extraordinary dreams right after the declaration. Dreams in which those who came before seemed to recognize this transformation with discrete consent and vibrational consent. Even though Murphy presented himself as a methodical researcher who was thorough in his general methodology, he understood that there prevailed occurrences that went beyond purely material logic and rational logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he preserved this sensitive manifestation and experienced, Murphy directed with firmness, "Say in your mind with genuine conviction, 'My preponderant frequency now becomes abundant consciousness. My physical being pulses totally with economic confidence. My hidden psyche is completely reprogrammed to receive in an ample way, to earn completely, and to sustain indefinitely abundance. My field is aligned exactly with possibility, endless circulation, and infinite elevation. The scarcity that was bequeathed dissolved completely permanently. The wealth that forms my innate spiritual right firms itself in this moment as the permanent reality of my life. Murphy underlined indisputably that these declarations must be said not superficially through habit or externally, but with true deep feeling, with honesty that emanates from the being, as if you vibrated, manifesting the most vital affirmation and basic of your complete life. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy suggested that this terminal stage be practiced constantly day after day, absolutely without pauses, for a minimum period of 40 days consecutive. He had designated the period of 40 days because he had observed in diverse cases that it was exactly the necessary duration for a new resonance to consolidate itself integrally as the prevailing pattern in the depths of the subconscious mind. The first 2 periods of a week concern rooting and installation of the new vibrational pattern. The new frequency still feels delicate and inconstant. It still competes powerfully with the old vibrations that try to persist. During days 15 until 28, something essentially transforms and unties itself. The new vibrational pattern commences progressively to acquire real strength, to perceive more spontaneous and genuine, more essential to your deep being. In days 29 to 40, the new vibrational pattern finally firms itself as the prevailing pattern that guides your choices. Following 40 days of permanent realization and heartfelt practice, Murphy verified that his patients told an emotional transformation so substantial that it was visible even to uninvolved people. The anxiety that freezes about money reduced considerably until vanishing completely. The shame of achieving success and obtaining disappeared completely. A confidence which was quiet, deep and unshakable in the coming prosperity began to emerge organically from your essence. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly, an unexpected expense that was providentially avoided, a casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy reiterated an essential component that many ignored completely in their execution. Throughout these 40 days of disciplined execution, the practical attitudes likewise keep fundamental importance. The frequency establishes the necessary foundation. However, you still need to have the determination to take action. If an opening manifests on your life path, you need to possess the bravery in exploring it genuinely. If a conception emerges relative to how to multiply your revenue or to multiply your inputs, you necessitate to keep yourself open to carry it out with firmness. Murphy referred to this as aligned action, and it was absolutely critical. It forms the attitude that surges organically after your frequency has changed to fullness. This act configures itself as fundamentally diverse from the desperate action seated in fear. It is movement that is secure, lucid, instinctive, and exact. Murphy recognized that as those who sought him kept the adequate vibrational pattern and performed systematically in synchronization with this vibrational pattern, the doors flowered in forms that prior appeared completely impractical or almost miraculous. The path that the Master Murphy offered was essentially a path of genuine emancipation and deep. It did not constitute evasion from true obstacles. It constituted facing the concrete reality that you were structured by ancestral inherited vibration and deciding with full consciousness and with conviction to modify this vibrational pattern completely. It represented accepting that you shelter exceptional potency not solely to change your own existence, but to transcend the entire history and future horizon of all your family heritage. This recognition constitutes authentic power in its purest expression. Not that force simply to subjugate or to subjugate opponents. However, the true power to transform, to modify frequency, to surpass old limitations. This teaching, Murphy professed with unbreakable conviction, is the authentic liberation which is financial and sacred that every soul seeks.